Hey, it's Nate Savage here, and welcome to video 5 of the Blues Guitar Quick Start series. In the last lesson, we went over the most basic blues riff that you're going to learn. And in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to dress that blues riff up a little more to make it a bit more interesting. And this is a great example of what a little creativity can do for rhythm blues guitar playing. Okay, this riff has the same basic structure as the last basic riff that we went over, but we're going to add a few notes here and there and a little bit more motion to make things, again, a little more interesting sounding. So we're starting off with a 12-bar blues progression. So the first 4 bars are going to be over an E chord, right? So the last one started with just an E power chord. This one's going to be an E power chord too, but it's going to be the 3-note version of an E power chord. So you're going to grab the 2nd fret of the A and D strings with your first finger. And those are going to be your first 2 8th notes. With the muting in. Remember from the last lesson we had the muting. So do that twice. And then you're going to keep your index finger where it is, put your 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the A string, and play 2 more swung 8th notes. With the muting in there, right? Now leave those 2 fingers where they are and come down on the 5th fret of that A string with your pinky and play 2 more swung 8th notes. Now take your pinky off, leave your 3rd finger where it is. And basically that's the foundation riff over your E chord. So you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's the first measure. After that, you're going to kind of start off the same on the next measure. You have 1 and 2 and. When you get to the 3rd beat of measure 2 of the 2nd measure, you're going to play just a regular E power chord. And then we have a little tag riff that we're going to learn here. So you have, keep your index finger on that B note right there on the 2nd fret of the A. Play that note with an upstroke. And then you're going to come play the 3rd fret of the low E string with your middle finger with a downstroke. Then hammer on to the 4th fret with your 3rd finger. So far you have. And to finish this little tagline off, go back to the B note on the 2nd fret of the A string with your 1st finger. So the whole little tagline is. So up, downstroke, hammer on, upstroke. So that takes care of the 2 measures of E, the first 2 measures. So you have. From there, you're just going to repeat that entire thing. So this is a 2-bar riff. So if it takes up the first 2 bars of E, the next 2 bars in the standard 12-bar blues progression are E2. So you're just going to repeat that whole thing. Play the entire riff twice. When we get to bar 5, we have to switch to our 4 chord. In this case, it's an A chord. So we're going to apply the exact same idea, but it's going to be a tiny bit different. I'll show you what I mean. First of all, you're going to play an A, open A chord, but you're going to make it with your index finger across the D, G, and B strings. And this time, we're going to be strumming the inside 4 strings on the guitar. You're going to leave both E strings out. But for the first 8th note, you're going to just play that chord twice, just the inside 4 strings of the guitar. From there, the shape is a little bit harder, but your middle fingers are going to come down on the 3rd fret of the B string, and your 3rd finger is going to come down on the 4th fret of the D string, and that's going to be your 2 and. So 2 more swung 8th notes here. From there, leave all 3 of those fingers where they are, come down on the 5th fret of the D string with your pinky, and that's going to be your 3 and. For your 4 and, take your pinky off and play 2 more swung 8th notes. So that's your whole first measure over the 4 chord. For the 2nd measure of the 4 chord, it's going to start off the same way. 2 swung 8th notes for the A. Then put your 2nd and 3rd fingers down for 2 and. And then on 3, hit just the A. From there, you're going to play the little tag riff to finish off this measure of the A chord or the 4 chord. So for the 2 measures over the 4 chord, you're going to have this. And that's a lot of information. You're going to want to take some time to get that under your fingers. Don't feel like you have to have it down all in this video. But once you get to the next 2 measures, you're going to have your 1 chord again. So just repeat the same riff. But this time, since it's only 2 bars or 2 measures, you only have to play it once. Next in the 12-bar blues progression is the 5 chord. And for this riff, I just left this the same. It's the exact same thing as the standard or easy 12-bar blues riff. Just go to a B power chord for 1 measure and play your riff. From there, go to the same 8 chord shape. We have a 4 chord coming up, right? So play 1 measure, or what would be the first measure of the riff over the A chord or the 4 chord. Now we go back to the 1 chord, so play just the first measure of the 1 chord riff. Now we're going to end on the 5 chord, so go back to your B power chord, and we're going to start off with the regular 5 riff, or B riff in this case. But that's all we're going to play. So you have 1 and 2 and 3, and on 3 on the power chord, and then just play the little tag riff again to bring you back around to the beginning of the progression. And then you start the entire progression over again. Let me put that all together for you and let you hear what it sounds like over the jam track. This riff is just a little example of what you can do when you mess around with a basic blues riff that we learned in the last lesson. Take some time, experiment with this riff once you get it down and can play it over the jam track, and see if you can just change a few notes around, change a few rhythms up, and come up with your own riff too. Pull up the jam track, whichever one you think suits you best, 70 beats per minute or 100 beats per minute. Concentrate on getting this groove down. Concentrate on your timing. The slower one will probably be a little bit harder to fall in the groove with, but it'll be a little bit easier to keep up with the notes. The faster one will be a little bit easier to keep up with the groove, but the notes are whizzing by, so it'll be a little bit of a challenge that way. Thanks for watching this video. In the next lesson, what we're going to do is switch our focus from rhythm blues guitar to lead blues guitar, and you're going to learn arguably the most important scale of your guitar career, and that's the blues scale. So if you have any questions, you can leave them here in the comments or email me, Nate@guitarsystem.com. I'll see you.